Just adjusting a few things here, guys. Good morning. It is June 3rd, 2020. Just update a few things here on my ancient Mariner Lenovo laptop. All right. Save that. And let's set this here. And good morning, good morning. Just setting up a few things here on the screen. Save that. And let me find you guys on the chat. A few things to talk about this morning, June 3rd, 2020, and what has certainly been a wild 2020. Let me see if I can go back here, pick up the side chat. All right, make sure we're broadcasting. All right, yes we are, getting out the other side. Okay, good morning to everybody. Roll call. Undead Ash, hello. Almost Uber. Miguel, nice to see you. Charla, thank you for your nice comments. Cindy, always an honor to see you. Joan Ann, thank you. Seattle Judy. Soswald, good morning to you. Cheryl, good morning to you. Timothy Martin, Jen, there you are. And good morning, everybody. If I missed anybody, I try not to. I do try to engage the chat, as you guys know, no matter where I am. Uber Goober, you beautiful thing, you. Good morning to you. Really nice to see you guys today. Good morning, Missy. I hope you are well in the great Midwest there of the United States. Just having my morning coffee here. Zoe, my Baltimore gal, nice to see you. Good morning to you. Guten Morgen, Emily. How are you? Thank you for your kind emails there. Prince Noob, there we go. How you doing? Nice to see you. Back to normal, huh? Well, the first thing I want to do, I should have probably prioritized my subject matter today. And the reason is that obviously some things have greater importance, especially if you're running a YouTube channel. Good morning, Jeffrey. Thank you for your kind comments. When you're running a YouTube channel, it's not a solo job. Okay, you may think, well, I can just go on there, I can do my thing. I don't need anybody but me to be the star of the show. And in reality, as has been demonstrated over the last 5 days. Good morning, Jessica. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Candy. Hey, Mr. Z. How you doing? See you in a couple days, I hope, as we make our way back down to Vegas. I'll be talking about that. But it's not a solo engagement that I do. And although my moderators are used to moderating large chats, typically in the hundreds, when you start getting into the thousands of viewers and understanding that I don't try to take a political stand when I do what I call street streams and street reporting, I don't have to sit there and instruct my mods about things to do or things not to do. The requests that I have are very simple on my channel. Let's not have racism. Let's not have homophobia. Let's appreciate the scene that is before us without editorializing or putting commentary on that. And the job my moderators do is very reflective of, hey Chef, good morning. It's very reflective of my approach to streaming. I was watching Camo Dave this morning, and he was mentioning that he unsubbed some channels that were live streaming and editorializing on things, which is certainly their right. on YouTube to do that. But when you start pointing out particular people in a crowd and you use those moments to poke fun or to belittle some of the protesters that are there, you really start to take away the message, and it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. Okay, it's like, well, there goes the objectivity of what's trying to be done. Good morning, Joey D. And the most important thing I think you can do when you're covering those streams is to be as objective as possible. And I think my moderators did an outstanding job. Most of the coverage of the street streams, the protests, were numbers 1 through 3 nationwide for non-commercial coverage of protest, Oakland and Santa Rosa, and I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the fact, and in each and every one of those cases, I tried to bring the content unfiltered by my own particular biases. Good morning, Valerie. Good morning, Johnny West. A2 polls. And I think by and large I succeeded in that fact, but I did not succeed alone. A lot of people continuously request wrenches of me, but as time has gone by on the chat, they've seen that the core of moderators that I have, and I can always count on at least 1, sometimes 3, sometimes 5, and some nights sometimes 8 in here, are really doing exceptional work in helping to shape a chat that and a stream that I think we can all be proud of. So once again, in terms of priorities, my top priority is to be thankful for my moderators and the job that they do on the channel. It's a position that makes enemies. It's a position that opens you up to criticism. It's a position that I don't think everybody's cut out to do. There's a fine line between commentary on the side chat and chat that I don't think is appropriate for the stream. So I'm very happy about the job that they did, and I want to first and foremost thank them today for their wonderful work over the last couple days. Craig says last night started off so nice and went south. Compliments to your mods. And hi RV Debs, nice to see you, sweetie, as always. Always enjoying your Instagram posts on there. And if you're not subscribed to my Instagram channel, and RV Debs too, you should. I have put up a couple other photos of the protest taken out of the stream that I think are powerful in their message. You can see I have a certain style. Dee and I vary in our styles of what we do in covering what's going on. Dee tends to be focused on very big picture, what I call the breadth of the crowd, and the whole, taking in the whole panoramic scene of what is going on. Thank you, Chef. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I tend to want to get the personal interaction as much as possible so that the feeling of the message that's being put out on the street is really conveyed powerfully to you guys. Now, oftentimes that means I'm parked at the front lines, where you can see in Oakland, for example, yesterday, the protest starts on the other side of the block and then starts inching forward, and tensions rise at that particular time. But you can back away from that, as eventually I did, because I thought the point was clear. But I think in conveying that frontline feeling, there's something powerful in that. There's something very watchable. There's something very first person in being there and doing that. Deb said, just letting you know, I've watched you while doing, don't talk, but amazed at your bravery. Stupidity, maybe trying to stay clear of people that are doing the protest and trying to respect. There's a lot of pain that's out there. in the country, and you can see that reflected. But as I said before, there's a real pride that I have in the fact that these type of protests, not the looting, not the violence, but the fact that these type of protests help define the American experience. And I can tell you guys, having lived in China for 5 years and in and out of Hong Kong, Taiwan, other countries there for an extended period of time, the chances to do that type of venting, I want to call it cleansing, don't occur. And as I said last night, that repression, spoken or unspoken, really blunts people's ability to, I believe, be creative in the world, to be expressive of themselves. So what happens is you end up bottling that sort of angst and that sort of fear of an authoritarian state. And sooner or later, it always reaches a point where it rubs people the wrong way, and they eventually, somehow or another, break those chains. Two Paul says, "Thanks for the mods in the channel." Thank you, Two Balls, for being a part of it. Yeah, the mods show you how it works on here. As I've said, not everybody is equipped to be a mod, but some of the people that had requested to have wrenches have now come to a point. Some of them have resubscribed, and they've seen that it does make the chat a better place for people in here, and a smooth flow. Only one time in the course of 2 hours do I have to request that my mods either time out or put somebody into hide them on the channel. And I'm very appreciative of that. So are we going back to a new normal now, and what will that mean? Boy, that's going to be the interesting next chapter of everything within my life and a lot of your lives too. As things reopen here, Dee and I are planning to make our way back to Las Vegas in preparation for the DMV to be opening. And we hope to capture some things along the way. I'm not sure if it's going to be a direct shot, because there's going to be some great things to cover over the next week, or whether it's going to be via Reno. Reno is still under a curfew. Las Vegas never went under a curfew. It's kind of Vegas prides itself on nightlife and the nights in Vegas, and they refuse to do take care, Mr. Z. They refuse to do the implementing of a curfew, whereas Reno did. There was a considerable amount of damage. Interestingly enough, on, I believe it was Friday night, somebody broke into City Hall in Reno, and they took a flag from the battleship USS Reno out of a display case. And that was a real point of pride for the people of Reno to have that. And interestingly enough, overnight, a news reporter got delivered a box, and inside of it was the flag for the USS Reno. And the person said, well, when I saw indicated to another news team, when I saw that the doors were smashed in, I took it upon myself to grab that flag and secure it in a safe place, and I want to return it now to the citizens of Reno. What an act, what an amazing thing to do, to risk yourself to save a real piece of history. And as you guys know, I'm a super historian about things and cherishing and preserving our history. Now, as you know, a lot of monuments, not a lot, but 4 or 5 monuments down south were Civil War and Confederate monuments were either taken down or damaged or heavily defaced. I'm not going to get into the whys and wherefores. In terms of my viewpoint on things, history, when you see a statue of the Confederacy, or you see Robert E. Lee mounted on his horse, Traveler, in a bronze statue, You can either view that as an affront to you, or you can view that as a teaching moment to people. And who was this guy? And what was his story there? And what did he stand for? I'm afraid we're going to lose some of those potentially teaching moments that really explain our history in America. So I would hope that none of that continues, and that people can have a thoughtful approach to statuary and things in history. There have been historic landmarks that have been defaced. There have been probably, I don't know, maybe 10,000 businesses that were sustained some damage. So it's a lot to heal from here. So returning to normal is going to be interesting, but I suspect it's going to be difficult too. Yeah, they deface civil right monuments. It's sad. It's, to me, it's all part of your sort of legacy. Now, people would say, "Well, Rosie, why did they pull down the statues of Lenin when the Berlin Wall fell down, and why did they downplay people like Stalin?" Well, the answer is because they don't have a chance to express themselves as time goes on. So when their moment in time comes, they have so much pent up rage and so much pent up anger that they want to destroy every legacy of what came before. And I think that we have seen that over history too. Yeah, churches, governmental offices. But I have to tell you, over the course of 4 or 5 days, we could see that the police and the National Guard began to understand better crowd control. In our city of Santa Rosa, they put barricades around the courthouse to keep protesters within a very defined space. It's wreaked havoc on traffic patterns, but they're not going to have to worry about destructive leaving of those places. PJ says, "Thank you for so much for taking us along to show real here. I have a severe spinal cord injury. I appreciate tagging along." You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And it's the side chat that really, as I always said, drives these particular channels. Many of the statues were put up in Jim Crow. It hadn't been there until then. I don't think in every case, but many. It could very well be Baxter, but I myself would use them as learning moments for when somebody questions that and the legacy of a section of the nation's history, to be able to tell people, well, this is what this particularly honors on here. Yeah, I'm very glad that you guys are enjoying the choo-choos. Good morning, Alpha Wolf, and good morning, Ace Egan. Nice to see you. So we'll be able to see coming up what the new normal is as we venture into the heat of summer. I know Dee is going to use the opportunity to purchase and register a bike, and then to hightail it to get that registered in Michigan, and then come back on the road. Where we will meet up, when we will meet up, is to be determined coming up. All over the country, cops are now using barriers. It worked beautifully yesterday. Thank you, Alpha Wolf. It worked beautifully yesterday. When the protesters organized the action on Lower Broadway in Oakland, the target of the protest was to be the police station. So away from the police station, one block either direction, they were manned with a heavy police presence there, with the barricades in some cases up, and the determination that people weren't going to get close to that building. So they helped define a spot on Broadway between 7th Street, actually 8th Street, and up to about 12th Street, where people were allowed to protest. and I think things have calmed down a lot. Also, how about the fatigue factor? I know observing D that it took a toll on him. The nonstop chanting for 2 nights. I swear I would tell Missy Jen here, do you hear sirens? Constantly hearing the low sounds of police sirens in my head. It was a very, very, very strange experience. Yeah, Chris McWhistler is a fellow Santa Rosan in the neighborhood here, and she mentions that downtown now is all blocked off. It's a war zone. I guess I would call it more of a containment zone. I think the city determined that we don't need any extra impediments to opening up and businesses and shops and restaurants with more severe damage. Hey, I wonder though, will people get tired of not being able to face the police? Hi, Ilva. Crowds were smaller yesterday, and most of the people were over in San Francisco, had a mega protest. But we could tell, looking at the police, as I tried to convey in the stream yesterday with some close-ups and some pans down the line of the police, they were tired. Some of them were having a little bit of trouble standing on their feet in the heat and sun with all of their heavy gear on, and you could tell that they were ragged out. The same as you could tell that some of the protesters had exhausted themselves in the message. Pizza says, if I had one choice to talk to someone, it would be you. You're so informative and logical. Thank you, honey. It's stupid too. They knocked a few over last night. How you doing, Penny Pincher? G says yesterday was crazy in New York. Peaches skipped protesting. They were breaking into stores. You know, G, we defined D and I pretty much after 3 events. We're able to figure out the tenor of protest and the sequence of events that would happen. Beginning with a formal organized protest, and then yesterday, as you saw, that trans gal got on the horn and said the official protest is over. I would encourage everybody to leave. If you want to stay, then it's on you beyond this point. Well, some people stay, and you get to the point where you have a group of people that are 50 to 100 feet back behind the crowd that start launching water bottles to incite some type of police action. And the further you go back into the crowd, the more unruly it is as you make your way out. Who are you? New sub, you're great. Oh, well, thank you very much. Who are you? I appreciate it. Welcome to hundreds and hundreds of new subscribers over the last couple days. I'm very happy about that. Sacramento has a lot of issues. Yeah, thank you, Alvin. Says, great stream last night. You were close to the action with D. I'm very appreciative of D, too, as I mentioned on his particular live stream last night. I'm not an easy person to stream with because I have an extremely high degree of mobility. As I said, D is a big picture taker. Could get in a position and capture the whole panorama of the scene. I want to be up in it. I want to have the feeling come through the camera. As you saw on the cover photo of yesterday's protest, where I had the young gal and the Oakland police officer literally about a foot apart and just in a face-to-face standoff, what I think is one of the best pictures I've ever captured in my many, many years on YouTube. Julie says, my daughter took a freelance job for the paper, very peaceful. All right, excellent. After hours, an hour, one water bottle resulted in 30, exactly. I'm not sure, Katie, what's happening down in Walnut Creek or Oakland. I sense fatigue amongst a lot of people, but I want to thank Dee because I'm not an easy person to roll with. I'm always on the move, going from the little scene to the bigger scene, going behind the protest, trying to get an idea how many people are there, covering little spot things where this one particular young black guy went over to confront some police on the side alley and told them to take a knee, and he was very demonstrative and very animated. And I have the resulting video of two of the Oakland police taking a knee at that particular time. Uh, yeah, calm down. Yeah, it is a calm down factor. That's why, barring anything else weird or wild, it's appropriate now to end the protest part of that and not to milk it. You've seen other people on YouTube come on late to the scene and begin to do the things that Dee and I started to do on Friday night. No shade, but I'm just saying, I'm very happy that I led that live streaming thing on YouTube, and to be able to bring that first, I think, with the very best coverage there. Pizza Kitty says, my nephew and family had to leave. The wife told someone they needed a permit to park. Big mistake. They had to leave, being threatened. Santa Monica. Yeah, it got it tough. Think about a place like Santa Monica on Ocean Boulevard, Ocean Park Boulevard. They're not used to protests. They're not used to seeing National Guard standing at the Santa Monica Pier at the route of 60 at the end of Route 66. Down there, it's a shocking experience, but it helped to drive home the point of how some people feel, and then of course it's diluting on Rodeo Drive and shops in Long Beach and Santa Monica. Police officer did take a knee. I went to one of the chats still up with it. Yeah, we had. I had it. Also, I have on my Instagram a picture of the two Oakland police that took a knee, and Dee has a video clip of on Instagram of one in the line that took a knee too. Oh, thank you, Julie Army Mom, trying to lift my game up. What was heartening to me was to see that many of these police chiefs, quite a few of these mayors, were women, people of color. Police departments, mayors. I think I think people, when the protests were over, they look at their TV and wow, okay. Or they look at the Oakland and PD and say, "Wow, we have a police force that really does mirror every ethnicity out there within our community." So I felt good. Uber says a disturbing part for me last night was how they got in the officers' faces, taunting. Uber Goober, my sense of that is that there's a frustration of not being able to really ramp up the dialogue on the streets, but they fail to remember that the police are there to keep order. Police officers down there, they have families. At first, in my video coverage, you could see, at least live stream coverage, you could see it was women on the line, some very small, and as the time went on, they replaced them with bigger guys. But I think they wanted to just try to get the police to give an inch, and some of them did with kneeling. But they have to use whatever tool they can to vent on it. It happens to be the police on the front line, probably the overwhelming majority of which are decent police that have never had any issues with reprimands or police brutality and things like that. But any port in a storm to grab, and they're the ones that they chose. There was also some race shaming. I don't want to editorialize, but if you're shaming a black officer for being a policeman, you're kind of losing your message a little bit too. Thank you, GR. Very much appreciated, my thank you very much. Thank you, G, with the super chat there. It was a great protest there, and sort of it looked like things were getting rough. Well, I had a confrontation with a young protesting girl at the end of it, and I said, oh, that's enough. You know, I've got what I need. Thank you very much, GR. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you.
Take care, Rosie.
Very, very much. And I'd had enough, but I had to be very aware of D. And D was not in the best place. I think yesterday I could tell that he was fatigued. And although I may have stayed on for the final hour, that would have just been gratuitous footage. And my presence might have been construed as wanting to hang around to just hope that something happens. So I can get some great video of some negative police encounter or some kind of brawl on the street. That's not my intention. That is not my intention whatsoever. And it was, you got to be aware of the people that ride with you, particularly D being there in that situation. Thugs always seem to come in at the normal protest begins with the messages conveyed, they leave, and then what's taken over is people that are generally more confrontational. And the level of confrontation desire goes up as the evening goes on. So I don't think, I don't think I want to show that. I don't think I want to stay around, and then people on YouTube could really say, well, there's Rosie. She just wants to be there when this stuff hits the fan to get that coverage. No, I wanted to be there to cover the protests that were occurring. Smart and dumb things I did. Smart and dumb things that I did. Yeah, that's right. Smart things I did over the last few days as I wrap up what I'm going to do with this, at least at this point in time. Smart thing I did was not editorialize. And as I've said before, the number of people that would ask me on the stream, what's your political affiliation? How do you feel about this message? What do you think about police brutality? I maintain my objectivity throughout that. And I think over time that'll work in my favor so that people can come to a stream that captures the stream. This is exactly why Camo Dave, who covers me, didn't mention me today, but he mentioned the unsub channels that editorialized on their live stream coverage, which is their right to do so. Okay? But understand that you're going to find that some people are going to find that offensive and they're going to take issue with that. The hard thing is to go out there, maintain your objectivity, and just show what's going on. It's very hard for me, as you guys know, to keep my mouth shut in life. Okay, I'm a big mouth. And I probably said less on that stream yesterday than any stream ever on YouTube. Don't take the bait in the year of the rat. Yeah, hey Cajun Kev, how you doing? I think if you want to guard a property, go inside with an AR, set up and blast away if idiots breaking. Were you there? Only seen segmented clips of arrests. Now, white, biracial, needs to realize age. I will never since child discrimination against anyone. Well, that's what I say. It's easier. It's easy to pick out people that are in all different shapes and sizes. Super overweight, super skinny, maybe super geeky, maybe emo, and maybe militant, and to start talking about that. And that way, man, your message starts to do. People can say Rosie's not there to cover protests. Rosie's there to poke fun at people and have a few laughs on the street. No. Never on that. I would say any Pioneer that you can get is worth $50 to $3,500 there. Dumb things I did, things I learned. Stupidest thing I did was in Santa Rosa on, I believe it was Sunday night with the protest. The one, I don't know if it was probably Saturday night with the protest. Was failing to understand what I looked like in the line of police that were 200 feet away from me. And somebody had fired a firework. I used it as my cover picture on that particular protest. It exploded behind the police officers. At that point in time, there was a gal on the ground that was facing the police. The lights were on behind the police. I thought, this is a really dramatic picture here. Her down on her knees on the ground. I go out there to set up my little tripod on the ground to stabilize the camera. And the next thing I know, there's rubber bullets whizzing all around me. And I later had to come to the conclusion, they're shooting at me. You know why? Because they think they can't see what the hell I have. They think I'm sitting down another canister to drop a firework into to point at them. And I gave myself a dumbass badge at that point and said to myself, man, and looking back, I'm lucky I wasn't really struck with that. That was by far the stupidest thing. Failure to understand how I looked within the crowd at that particular moment. Yeah, it's stupid. Just a failure, a failure to grasp realities. Now I'm much more able to understand that when the police start to line and somebody's going to throw a firework or a M80 or something at the cops, that's the point that they're going to respond. They'll tolerate a couple water bottles, but beyond that, forget about it. It's on. And I thought, I wonder why they were just picking us out. And then I thought, well, I'm down low and I'm working on something on the ground. Yeah, I would think that I'm loading up something too, to shoot another firework in that direction. So I'm darn lucky. There was a guy, two protesters tried to hide out in a side little alcove as the police line came down on Fifth Street there in Santa Rosa. Cops flushed them out. They didn't even, they just screamed, get the F out, and they opened fire on the guy. And he came out holding his groin, and they put it right where it counts, and that guy was a hurting cowboy. I'm so glad that didn't happen. I'm so darn glad that didn't happen to me. But I thought to myself, I kind of get cold shivers when I think about what could have happened that night. Okay, that's the chances that I take. And that's why Dee's a good person to have around. As then I've said, I'm moving all around the protest and stuff, and that takes a toll on Dee. People message him, where's Rosie? Are you keeping an eye on Rosie or whatever? And it takes away from his experience too. Let's see. Hello, Sacramento paranormal investigator. New here. Boy, I would like to meet you in Sacramento. Boy, that would be fun. One of my bucket list items is to do a paranormal night with somebody that does that particular type of thing on YouTube. I think that would be really, really wild. And hello, Noreen, by the way. My grandpa was racist, which in turn my mother went the opposite. Well, growing up in Baltimore, yeah, my grandmother was very racist. Had seen her city, she was born in 1895, had seen her city turn in a way that she didn't like. And she, would freely use the N-word and things. And that reversed on me growing up. That made me examine the situation with my own eyes, having grown up with segregated lunch counters, still vivid in my mind at department stores, separate bathrooms, black, whites, movie theaters, black, whites, blacks to the back of the bus. The whole shebang in Baltimore growing up. It left a heck of an impression on me. Do it, Rosie. CNN investigate. Yeah, Chooch News Network. Good morning, Zeus. Good to see you. Yeah, the Chooch News Network. Yeah, I mean, Uber Goober, it never would have happened the other way, but, you know, D certainly earned my admiration for that. And I'm very appreciative, and I've expressed that to him. I wanted to come back and hope to make it into Santa Rosa so I could buy him something to eat. We drive up to the Burger King. I'm alerted that there's protests on the Avenue of Love by the Rancho, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm not even going to be able to get down my own street. And we tried to go to the Burger King, and that was taped off. And then we went over to Jack in the Box, and we're getting ready to go through the driveway, and the manager comes out like, nope, nope. And I'm like, damn, too close to 8 o'clock and curfew. What's your opinion on the officer only being charged with Johnny West? I'm not really smart enough to know the difference between all that. They have to be very careful how they handled it. I want to let facts speak in the courtroom. Okay, so I'm going to hold. I'm not a district attorney. I'm not the one that puts the charges up. I would say there's a whole picture that's going to develop as we go towards that trial. Could be another potential flashpoint for the future. But justice has to be justice, right? So, experience of Vallejo, Oakland riot, 68, my dad was reported. I was right in the thick of things in Baltimore City. And thank God that the 17th Airborne out of North Carolina came in. Thank goodness. In the 172nd Armored Division. I remember that very well. I remember cops on horseback, wielding clubs, cracking skulls, and all that type of thing. Yeah, you too, Deb G. D seems like a very sweet, respectful man. Well, I've enjoyed my interactions with him, for sure. He's an ideal person to travel with. It's easygoing. He's amenable to the things that I like to do, so I try to think about the things that he enjoys potentially doing. And I think we make a good collaborative effort when we work together. But I would never want D to feel obligated that he has to be anywhere. He has a lot of friends on YouTube, so we just kind of play it by ear. First degree, you have to have the intent to, yeah, I think first degree has to have intent. Thank you, Mr. Z. And boy, am I looking forward to seeing Mr. Z in a couple days down in Vegas. In that 110-degree heat, baby. Let her fry. Which brings me to the subject. Jero says that picture with the cop and the protest could be the cover of Time magazine. Yeah, I don't want to say. I had an initial contact with somebody about potentially using that particular photo in a commercial way. We'll see. I don't ever really talk about stuff unless it's done. I think it's one of the best photographs that I've ever put up on, certainly on Instagram and certainly on YouTube, or had the privilege to be there to take that picture. Max says, been following you for, I guess, 6 months. I really love your show. You have to tell me something, Rosie can't. Show you have to tell. Well, Max, welcome to the channel, and I appreciate that. You can expect if I'm out there, yeah, that's great, Max. Thank you. You can expect if I'm out there in a situation like that, man, I'm going to be right up on front, panning the officers, panning the protesters, getting that in that face to face, because that's the spirit of protest. That's authority meets protest in that picture. Tracy, hello. Nice to see you this morning. Yeah, Mr. Z, hot AF. Yeah, I know. Damn pools better be open down there. That's all I've got to. That's all I've got to say. Given the events in Reno and the situation in Reno, it may just be hightailing it to Vegas and let more things open up there. Of course, my intention is to get down to LA and to get down to San Diego this summer, potentially get over to Mexico. I don't know. I don't know. And then as the cooler weather comes in, to start to make my way back through the heartland of the nation, eventually over to the East Coast, maybe for the fall season up in New England and coverage like that. So I think that that would be very interesting too. How about that? That pushed you back into a cop? Yeah, I could have been hurt. You know that younger gal was very militant, and I will refrain. I'm not going to say what her upbringing probably was. I expect it was not a privileged. I mean, it was a privileged upbringing. But I cannot degrade the fact that she had a message that she wanted to put out, and she delivered. And when she started pushing on me and then pushed me into the cop that has the AR, I'm like, oh hell no, because the cop pushes me for it. I'm out of here. I told D, because I could see D wasn't really feeling. I'm like, we're out of here, man. I'm not gonna get involved in that. Ain't no way. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate that. Have a good rest of your day. Okay, yeah. It's not all drama videos. I also do fun videos, travel, goof around on some of the other channels and things. So make sure you're subscribed up, especially to the Rosie Murphy. And thank you, Deb G. I appreciate. Yeah, the thumbnail for last night's video. I was happy to capture that. Happy to capture that image face to face. Two independent autopsies verified asphyxiation. The fact that Ki Chang returned, I don't know. Hello, Ki Chang. You're Reddick, of course. He was. Yeah, so we shall see. No, I'm not. I didn't want to physically assault anybody. I wanted to turn and tell her, hey, how do you think you're 200 people down here? At this point, you're 100 people on the protest line. I got 550 people watching me worldwide. How in the hell, who's more effective at getting the message out of what's going on, me or you? You should welcome me to be here and do what I'm doing. I'm putting out uneditorialized exactly what's going on here in Oakland. You should applaud me because of the potential leverage it gives for sending it out to the world. I had a request to post my link on the Reddit group last night. Some girl you saw on the stream came around here. Are you live streaming? Yeah, could you post a link on our Reddit? I went to the Reddit, and no way I was going to register on that on, on that on that Discord, not Reddit, but the Discord. There was no way I was going to have. Thank you, Joe Smith. There was no way I was going to put my content on that particular site. No, 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 no. Cop was rogue. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to tell her, but I had to think about D at that point in time. It was hot, sweaty. D had reached saturation point with protest and wasn't feeling the greatest in the best space. Last night was great for him to finally go live, and that's why I wanted to sit in with him, to show him I honor what a friend he is, and to have a couple beers and just kick back and just let it out, let it go. That's it. The fact that people are debating what killed him is ridiculous. Yeah, he's dead, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line on that. So I still expect, depending on D and Vegas, I think it's opening Thursday. Not sure about going down on opening day. It might be a heavy traffic situation down there. I'm not sure. Oh, Two Balls says, camping in Wisconsin, I was able to turn down my pixel rate in order to keep the live streaming. Yeah, I'm doing 1080 now where it permits. And I thought during the protest I should have a strong signal in Oakland. I'm going to go for 1080p, and it worked out. The resolution for you guys watching, I think, and going back and reviewing the live stream was outstanding with only a bit of pixelation here and there. I thought the quality of the image going out in 10p was pretty astounding for a little cell phone in the middle of a protest. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, hey Shelly, what a crazy few days. Oh, I can't wait to get back to Texas, Emily. I left a little bit of my heart in San Antonio and El Paso. I really think I would enjoy the heck out of Texas, Louisiana, Texas, hell, every state in the United States. And if I'm coming to your town, I think I'm going to see DZ. DZ is a recent person on my channel. I've been on his channel, DZ in Las Vegas. I hope to do some street streaming with him. I've got Kev TV down in Los Angeles, who's a live streamer. I hope to do some streaming with him. I think it would be great. So in every place I go, it was weird in Santa Rosa. Dee and I were walking back to the car, and some woman on the first floor of an apartment, you hear it on the stream, she put up her window and she's, "Hi, Dee and Rosie." I thought, wow, you know. And there's so many places that I get stream sniped now when I'm on stream. So I say, if I'm in your particular town or near you, yeah, let's meet, let's collaborate, let's make some content. If you're a paranormal person, there's a haunted house in your area, or there's something cool in your town or city that hasn't really been put on YouTube or whatever, or if you want to be a guide for your town or something, like, you don't have to be on camera. I did a whole series with Bella Rose up in Buffalo. I never put her on camera. It did not diminish from the experience that we had. Hey, Nathan, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Happy hump day. I know you said that you've been there, but oh, come to Maine. Yeah, I'd like to get back to Maine again. Maine is a very beautiful, beautiful, lovely, lovely state. Yeah, I was there in 1972. That's how old I am. That's exactly how old I am. Being in the great state of Maine. So as I'm closing out here today, yeah, I want to say I think this is the end of my protest coverage. Anything more now, I think would be a hammer in the head unless something local happens or pop up. I want to transition back to the normal rosy, fun street streams and the goofy stuff I do. Put my crazy images back on the text to speech. I tried to tone them down a little bit over the last couple of days. Yeah, I'm in Dallas for now, but plan to be Galveston. Of you. Yeah, that would be great, Chef. I mean, Galveston. What history down there? What a town. That's great. I want to try to do that in the fall when things cool off, and eventually make my way to Florida and up the coast there. So that would be a blast. I mean, one of my bucket items is to meet Chef. He's got to be one of the funniest and most talented people I know on YouTube. Videography, cooking skills, great tutor in training. You know, lots of potential. I'd pull them out of the minor league farm system and bring them up to the majors. Bring them up to the majors. In closing, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a pat on the back for having the initiative to go out as a YouTuber and do those live streams. KTLA in LA, they would concentrate on just having the airship overhead with a camera operator thing. There was, as time went on, there wasn't really a sense reporters were felt endangered. There wasn't really the sense of street on that. And I thought that that started to be lacking. So I am very grateful for the opportunity that YouTube afforded me to go out there and live stream. I'm grateful to Verizon for, in the midst of hundreds of protesters, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of protesters in Oakland, a couple hundred in Santa Rosa, that my signal never wavered and that I had good, a very good feed to put out. But I've always been a person that's led on YouTube, and you can see that people follow on that. It's one of the hallmarks on my channel is to be there, do it first, and enjoy the benefits of that, and also the risks that go with that. And I think that that's something that very much defines my channel, is always being a maverick. One of the first people to ever take camera on the street in 2013 and continuously upload on a daily basis in 2014-15, to transition to a street streaming, live streaming platform, to be enduring and using Streamlabs for 2 years on here till I finally got the hang of it. And you guys have been along with that process. Thank you, Kim C. I appreciate your moderatorship too. So I think that that's, you know, if you build it and you do it right, people will come. And in the last couple of days, they came in droves. They supported the streams. And I don't think people were tipping so much because they're getting, want to see Skullcracker. I think that they were tipping because I inserted myself into the thick of things, as Rosie always does, and brought really good street coverage to that. And I'll be proud of that. If I learned a lot, a heck of a lot, okay? Hopefully my stupidity level will decline, but I am glad I had the street smarts and dare I say the balls to go out there and put myself on the front lines and things like that. So, hey Melina, yeah, you know, I've saw a couple people from the community go out there and start to stream too. So, but it's a question: do you want to promote yourself, right? Which I don't object to. It's your channel. Or do you want to bring the real story, which is not me, which is not anybody. It's the people on the street with the protests. Self-promotion, I've never found that super tasteful on YouTube, and I think it has a way of leaving a little bit of a bad taste in people's mouths, and it's kind of a turnoff. If you're doing good content, people will come out of the woodwork. You don't have to promote yourself. You just grow yourself, and I think that's the difference. Yeah, Johnny West, I can't wait to be back in Vegas too. I think it's gonna be some great times down there. Yeah, everyone's stupidity levels need to go down. So yeah, so I think you know, you risk yourself if you're not a street person and you go out there and you're too self-promotional within the context of another message. You put yourself at risk. You know, if I had teed off on that young gal towards the end of my stream that got rough with me, I would have put my own personal bias and things in at that particular point. I did not choose to do that. Thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate that very much. Simon, my wonderful friend. Nice to see you. Great. You lived through it and learned something. They had the balls for it. Not able to go that far. Watch out. Yeah, watch out for the rubber bullets. Yeah, and gassed 4 times would reach the point we knew yesterday. D and I when to head out. Not that anything would happen, but just in the event that it could happen, Chef. I don't want to take down. It took me 2 days to get over that gas. 4 different gassing episodes and flashbangs and rubber bullets. I'm going to pull out my 2 old cards. my too old card. So in wrapping up today, thank you to my wonderful moderators, the best core of moderators on YouTube, in my opinion. Thank you to my wonderful side chat. Thank you to the hundreds of new subscribers that have come on. I can tell you not all content will be of that type, but my channel's a fun channel. It's a variety channel. I can do anything and go anywhere, and nobody would say, "Wow, you're really off of your channel." My channel's been a variety channel from day one. And although that makes it very difficult in terms of YouTube, how to uh, categorize or how to push a channel, I never cared about that. I cared about doing what I wanted to do and do the multifaceted content that I do, whether it's travel, whether it's vintage audio. Oh, thank you, Penny Pincher. I always see your comments on my chat. Thank you, honey. No big deal. No big deal, and I appreciate it. I like you being here. You've taken time to write me messages, so I'm very happy. So it's a variety channel. Like I say, there's not one person that commented that this is very out of keeping with the channel. Most people were like, "Well, this figures, this is this is Rosie being Rosie." So on that, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. I don't like to run beyond an hour, but have a wonderful, wonderful day. Yeah, just delete that person. And if you don't mind giving a thumbs up on the way out, that would really be appreciated. I've cut off all contact and all relations, much to my benefit, as you can see on the channel. My channel's done nothing but soar since I separated from that particular person. It's the best move that I ever made on YouTube. Have a wonderful day, everybody.